I'm not going to overcomplicate the first pick. Jimmy Butler is the best small forward in the NBA. I'm not going to say that I don't think it's close, because I think the guy who I am guessing Andrew is going to pick next is who knows? Stranger things, right? I think he's getting there, and I think even in terms of like MVP votes and like All NBA and all that stuff, like I could see there being someone that will get picked after Jimmy Butler in the draft. I don't want to say the person's name, ahead of Butler in any of those things. I don't care. I have two eyes, and I've been watching this game for a while, and I've been watching it this year, and Jimmy Butler is still the man. And he was the best player on a finals team 2 years ago. I think that's pretty notable. I wouldn't be surprised if he's the best player on a finals team this year, or I wouldn't be shocked at least. Yeah. We'll see. So yeah, the other thing I'll say about Butler is I don't think he is a guy that you can define by the numbers. Again, this season, he's only averaging a little over 21 points. He's averaging 6 rebounds, 5.5 assists. He's also not a guy who cares even in the slightest about numbers. And I think that is part of what makes him great. But for what it's worth, he is like in the 99th percentile for his position at in assists or assist percentage. He's having quite an efficient year, also stealthily efficient year. 116 points per 100 possessions, 72nd percentile for forward. So, Jimmy Butler, first pick.
So just Jimmy Butler is also 70% of his minutes at small forward. And as John mentioned, the non-box score stats that he contributes to on the defensive end are pretty important to why the Heat are the 1 seed and why I have them going pretty far. Even if, though it like pains me to give the Miami Heat credit, they've built a championship contender around him, and it'll be interesting to see how far they go in the playoffs. I wonder if you are thinking who I am thinking as should be the number.
If you go anywhere else other than the person I think you're going to go, I'd be beyond floored.
Yeah, I wonder if it's the person we're thinking of together then. There's no real suspense here, unfortunately. No. I was going to try and make a case for a guy who I'd prefer on my team, but the person having the better season that's on the better team and is probably going to beat the person that I would rather have in the playoffs in the first round because his team is better, is Jason Tatum. And we're at the point with Jason Tatum where the efficiency numbers that people will worry about at the beginning of the year just don't matter anymore.
Well,
he's cleaned it up enough that he's also playing a style of basketball that like leads to winning now. I don't want to say Kobe because that's just like flat out disrespectful to Kobe Bryant, but a lot of his game is molded by the gravity that Kobe demanded on the floor. And Jason Tatum, and especially at the end of games. And like the cool thing I like about the Celtics, which is a weird thing to say because of like the New York Boston thing, but like there's no like end of game execution almost necessary in their games. They play close games, don't get me wrong, but like all their wins are double digits, which is why their net rating is as high as it is. And Tatum helps them build those leads with how high how proficient he is at scoring the basketball. 65% of his minutes at the small forward position, and he's at 26 a game or 26.7 a game, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 51% effective field goal percentage. You add in the true shooting, and it's at he hits his free throws. The true shooting's at 56%. Like that's like perfectly fine.
Solid.
Jason Tatum, number 2.
Okay. I'm already a little jammed up because
we're gonna pick 2, John.
Thank you.
Jammed up.
The numbers say there is an obvious name.
Mm-hmm.
All of the numbers say there is an obvious name. And yet taking him third here feels just, I don't know. It feels like there should be someone else here. And at the same time, I'm looking at the other names below him and I can't craft. There would be a guy that I think there is an argument, but injury issues. And honestly, he wasn't having that great of a year. So I'm not going to overthink it. And I'll go with Zach LaVine. So best case I can make for Zach LaVine. So again, my favorite website in the whole wide world, Cleaning the Glass, ranks everybody positionally in terms of usage, points per shot attempt, and then assist percentage. And you get graded against your peers at your position. And there are only 3 players in the entire league who for the entire season have been in the top 10% of usage, points per shot attempt, and assist percentage. And those 3 players are Nikola Jokic, who's going to finish first and second in MVP, Kevin Durant, who is Kevin fucking Durant, and Trae Young, who he, say what you want about him. I mean, he gives it back on the other end, but like he is a incredibly gifted offensive player. Zach LaVine misses being part of that group. Oh, excuse me. Nikola Jokic actually isn't part of that group. Nikola Jokic is 89th percentile for points per shot attempt, but he is 98th percentile usage and 100th percentile assist percentage. Zach LaVine, 98th percentile usage, 88th percentile points per shot attempt, 95th percentile assist percentage. He's having an unbelievable year. I know the Bulls have, fallen off a bit, but like it's become so the DeMar DeRozan story for that team this year that I think people are sleeping on Zach LaVine, Andrew. I don't know if you know that. He's very good. And then if you just want to look at like more traditional counting stats, like the guy's 16th in the NBA in scoring, he's averaging 25 a game. He's not, I don't want to say he's flirting with 50, 40, 90, but he's at 48.2 field goal, 39.6 from 3 and 86.1 free throws. So it's like, it's not that far away. And then, 5 rebounds, 4.5 assists. I mean, he's just very good. I think it's the obvious pick. So he's my guy.
This is the guy I was teasing. I'd rather have than Tatum, but it's impossible to say that like you'd rather have that you draft Zach LaVine over Jason Tatum. The next pick though might surprise you, and it's where I go on brand for me and go to the playoff success corner where getting all these meaningless stats in the regular season is nice.
Wow.
Don't get me wrong. But I've also seen this guy have success in the playoffs. In fact, this playoffs in the most recent playoffs in which we were sleeping on Giannis, right? And then we got to
silly people.
Yeah,
how silly can you be?
And it was looked at. It was looked at as a coronation that Giannis Antetokounmpo won the finals and was like the best player in the playoffs and proved himself. And we're just going to ignore that Giannis got hurt against the Hawks and missed the last 3 games of that 3.5 games of that series. And as a result, the guy who stepped up and led the Bucks to the finals was Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton, the game 4 against Devin Booker stands out to me in the finals, in which he had 40 points. And tied that series when like Giannis was having a great game. Don't get me wrong, but like the guy going point for bucket in that series. It's similar to how like KG in that game 7 of against the Cavs in 08, when LeBron and Paul Pierce were going off, those were the scoring going off. But KG was probably the most important player on the court that night because he was like, Kevin Garnett and guarding the paint and focusing on the defensive end. Shout out Tom Thibodeau for that team.
Always got to get a Tib shout out.
Company line. So Chris Middleton this season is still having an efficient year. He's at a 53% effective field goal percentage. Is still averaging 20 points a game, 25-5, which is like a good season. And this is where the tiebreaker for me and some of the guys that I think are similarly having good years are is going to be playoff success. And
It's fair.
I've seen Chris Middleton be the second best player on a finals team, be the best player in a finals game. And I have not seen one of the other guys be the best player on a playoff team.
Okay.
Like the other, like more efficient guy that's having a better year this year. So I'm going Chris Middleton with my next pick.
Look, it's not unfair by any stretch. It's a solid pick. I don't know if it's the way that I would have gone.
I know because you would have. I know the guy you're about to take. I think I know the guy you're about to take.
I just no. You know what? It's probably the right pick. It's probably the right pick. It's probably the right pick. Okay. So again, we're gonna take the suspense out of it. And again, just a reminder, we do factor in injuries here. So I am gonna go next up. I think this is the obvious one, but not everybody likes this guy. And I wonder if he's done enough this year to change that perception. I'm going with Brandon Ingram. So Brandon Ingram is on the Pelicans. The Pelicans are currently behind the Lakers, although my God, are the Lakers really coming for that 11th spot?
Free fall, man.
It's
I swear.
No, actually, sorry. The Pelicans are in 10th. The Lakers are in 9th, I think. I messed that up. Yeah. Because the Blazers and Spurs are behind, and the Kings. Yeah. So the Pelicans are in the play-in right now. But I still think they're fighting for home court against the Lakers. They have, I don't know how many games they are under 500, 11, 12, whatever it is. Game
13.
Yeah, fine. They're 500 with Ingram. They're 25-25 with Brandon Ingram in the lineup. That is important. The fact that Brandon Ingram, we have been waiting for him and waiting over the course of his career for him to become a better playmaker, to be someone that really helps his team in ways other than just scoring. Finally, he has made that leap. He's been 19.2 and 21.9 in terms of assist percentages. The previous 2 years before this one, he's at 26.7%. That's a pretty big leap. Puts him in the 97th percentile for forwards with the high usage. Like, he is now a fully complete player. The efficiency is above water. It's not great. He's in the 53rd percentile for points per shot attempt. The biggest thing for me, and again, it speaks to why they're 25-25 with him in the lineup. Their differential in terms of when he's on the court versus off the court, according to Cleaning the Glass, is plus 12.6 points per 100 possessions. That's a number that is in the 97th percentile league wide. He makes all the difference for that team. So whereas this is a guy who used to get tagged with like empty stats, no, he's good. He's legitimately good. The team is good when he's out there. And I'm excited to see what he does in the play. And I would love for the Pelicans to play the Lakers and for the Pelicans to emerge victorious in that game. Yeah.
I mean, like, this is another conversation for a different pod, but like the Anthony Davis trade and like is giving all of that away for one title worth it? I do think it is. I still think the Lakers got what they wanted from that trade. But the fact that we're like 3 years removed from it and one team is losing to the other in the play-in would be fascinating. So, we'll see. Especially if AD has to go back to New Orleans. We'll actually get to see how many New Orleans Pelican fans there are.
Yeah, it is a conversation for a different pod, but like, analyzing that trade moving forward it may be the most fascinating postmortem, because it's going to extend for a while, because we're not going to know all the ramifications until all these picks either convey or you get made or like get traded for other, like we'll see.
Can I give you a baseball reference, a baseball comparison? So 2016, Chicago Cubs traded their number one prospect named Gleyber Torres to the Yankees.
I know who he is.
Chapman.
Yeah.
And Chapman helped the Cubs win the World Series. And within the next 3 years, Gleyber Torres, now the last 2 years, he's kind of fallen off. But within the next 3 years, Gleyber Torres was like one of the best middle infielders in baseball and hit 38 home runs in 2019. And there was a discourse on Twitter, like, can you believe the Cubs traded Gleyber Torres for 3 months of Aroldis Chapman? Yeah. And all Cubs fans were like, we won the World Series.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
I would have
do
traded
it again tomorrow.
I would have traded my left arm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. No, but I do think it's a unique conversation with the Lakers in particular because of how many titles they already won. You know, and like, and you know, it's LeBron's title. You know, it's LeBron's title. It's you know.
Look, I'd have to talk to a Laker fan to see if they're like.
I know
it's LeBron's title, so it's we expected more than one. I just keep going back to like if they don't trade for us, they're probably a 4 or 5 seed, and maybe if they go a different route this offseason, I should say.
Well, when they trade Russell Westbrook to the Knicks this summer, we'll find out.
Shout out tomorrow's podcast guest. Good Lord.
All right, you're up.
I'm up.
And you have a very interesting decision on your hands because there's actually no. I think there's 2 ways you.
There's two.
There's 2. There's 2. Okay.
Yeah, because there's one guy that just his injury concerns. His injury. He proved a lot to me last year in the playoffs. I just don't know if he's going to play in this year's. So. It's tough.
Listen, we could. Okay, we've been teasing it enough. So the current update on Paul George. This is from 5 days ago. Sources: Paul George to be reevaluated after non-contact ramp up.
Yeah.
Subheading: Paul George hasn't been ruled out for the season. You want to talk about a not encouraging post that's supposed to be encouraging?
A team that might play two games after the regular season. Well, no, they might play the.
Oh no, that's right, because they're in the 8.
And then they play the 7, the Pelicans. 8, yeah. You know.
Okay.
Or Lakers. The Pelicans. So I think I'm going the other direction, but
okay.
I also know what podcast I'm on, so I'm wondering if it's too early to go a certain direction, and I also think you'll take him if I don't.
I don't know what I'm going to do. I really don't. Genuinely, I don't know. What I'm gonna do.
You know what? I am not saying that this is the best player available because I do think there is a guy better. This is not a pick with the head. This is a pick with the heart. I'm going with RJ Barrett.
There it is.
Okay. I will
trying
just doing it. I want to win. He's 92% of his minutes at small forward this year. We all know the stats since New Year's Eve. Shout out Drew Hanlon. Shout out Fred Katz. A guy that has made the final 20 or so games of this season watchable. The reason we're all tuning in to games. I'd argue like a guy that might save Tom Thibodeau's job in the sense that like if he's progressing, and as the team is playing hard around Tibbs and RJ Barrett, can you actually like say that like the guy deserves to lose his job? And look, as he started to figure out like how to get foul calls better and how to finish more at the rim, it's been cool to watch. And yeah, I mean, the numbers are self-explanatory to all Knicks fans. And I also look forward to the day when RJ can prove that last year's playoffs for him was a fluke. I think we've all made our conclusions about what last year's playoffs were to the other Kentucky Wildcat on the team, although RJ's obviously a Dookie. Yeah, I'll go RJ Barrett with my third pick.